All right, today we're going on a wild ride deep inside the brain. We're going to meet the master builder of our past, the architect of everything we remember. Let's get to know the hippocampus.
I mean, really think about it for a second. How does a fleeting moment become a memory you carry for life? You know that song from when you were a kid, the face of someone you love, that feeling of a perfect summer day? How does our brain grab onto those moments and just not let go? That's the huge question we're diving into. Okay, let's get right into it. The star of the show today, it's this tiny seahorse-shaped thing tucked way deep inside your temporal lobe. It's called the hippocampus. And trust me, it is, without a doubt, the architect of your memory. So what's its job? Well, it's absolutely critical. Think of it like a master builder. It takes all the raw materials of your day, everything you see, hear, and feel, and starts the construction process. It's literally turning those experiences into stable, lasting memories. You take away this architect, building a new memory becomes pretty much impossible.
But here's the thing about any great architect. They don't work alone, right? They've got a whole crew of specialists. And the hippocampus? It's exactly the same. Memory is a total team sport. It's this huge collaborative project going on in your head.
So, to really get what's going on, we got to look at the whole construction crew. The hippocampus is kind of like the foreman on the job site, It's directing traffic, laying down the foundation, but it's constantly talking to this whole network of other brain areas to get the job done.
And wow, what a crew it is. You've got information flowing in through the entorhinal cortex. That's like the main gateway to the construction site. Then there's the basal forebrain, which helps manage everything. The cerebellum even chips in with motor skills. And all the while, it's in constant communication with the sensory and motor cortices, the parts that are processing what you're actually seeing, hearing, and doing. It's this incredible, perfectly coordinated neural dance. All right, so what exactly is in this architect's portfolio? What kind of memories are we talking about here? Let's break down 3 of its biggest jobs. First up, episodic memory. This is basically your brain's personal scrapbook. It's the memory of specific things that happened to you. So it's not just remembering that you went to a concert, it's remembering who you were with, what song was playing, how it made you feel. It's literally the story of your life, one episode at a time. But here's where it gets really wild. The way this works is just fascinating. Scientists now think the hippocampus doesn't actually store the entire memory. It's more like it stores a blueprint or a kind of skeleton of the memory, an incomplete trace. And then later, your neocortex, the brain's supercomputer, cleverly fills in the gaps using your general knowledge about the world. It's this brilliant, super efficient reconstruction. But it also means our memories aren't perfect recordings, right? They're more like stories we retell ourselves. And yeah, they can definitely change over time.
Okay, next on the list is spatial navigation. Have you ever wondered how you can stumble to the bathroom in the middle of the night without turning on the lights? Or how you can drive your daily commute on autopilot? Yep, that's your hippocampus hard at work, building and maintaining what scientists call a cognitive map of your world.
So how does it build this map? Well, it's pretty genius. The hippocampus basically combines what you see with your own sense of movement. As you explore a new place, the neurons that are firing at the same time start to strengthen their connections to each other. This whole process lets your brain create these super stable place codes. It's basically learning the layout of a room or a city completely on the fly. And the third big specialty for our architect? It's called sequence learning. Think about it. So much of our life depends on order. The melody of a song, the steps in a recipe, the plot of a good movie, even just telling a story about your day. Your hippocampus is absolutely crucial for locking in and recalling things in the right order. And inside the hippocampus itself, there's this really clever division of labor. First, one part, the dentate gyrus, it acts kind of like a notary. It stamps each individual moment in a sequence, making sure it's registered as its own unique event. Then, another part, the CA3 region, comes in and acts like a storyteller. It takes all those stamped moments and links them together into a coherent, ordered memory.
So you might be wondering, how on earth do we know all this stuff? I mean, it's not like we can just ask the hippocampus for its blueprints. So instead, scientists have gotten clever. They build their own blueprints, digital ones, using what are called computational neural network models.
And these models are just incredible tools. They let researchers simulate how millions, and I mean millions, of individual neurons are all talking to each other. And through that, they can finally bridge the gap between the microscopic world of brain cells and something as deeply personal and human as, say, remembering your first kiss. Okay, so this entire system, this whole architect, is built on one fundamental principle: synaptic plasticity. It sounds complicated, but it's actually a pretty simple idea. It just means that the connections between your brain cells, your neurons, they aren't set in stone. They can change. They can get stronger or they can get weaker, all based on what you experience. This is literally what learning looks like at a biological level. And you can think of it as having two sides. On one hand, when neurons fire at the same time, their connection gets stronger. That's called long-term potentiation, or LTP for short. It's that famous saying, neurons that fire together, wire together. But just as important is the other side. Connections that don't get used, well, they get weaker. We call that long-term depression, or LTD. Basically, use it or lose it.
But it gets even more specific than that. It's not just if they fire, but when. The timing of these little electrical signals between neurons is everything. This principle is called spike timing dependent plasticity, and it's so fundamental that many scientists consider it the biological basis of all learning and memory. It's the engine that's driving this entire incredible process.
Okay, so let's step back for a second and look at the big picture here. Why does all this, building these digital blueprints of the brain, why does it matter so much?
Well, it's because these models, for the first time, let us actually watch the architect at work. We can finally see how all these countless, tiny, simple interactions between individual neurons all add up to create something as incredibly complex and beautiful as the rich tapestry of our own memories. It even helps us get a handle on really mysterious things like memory consolidation. You know, the idea that while you're asleep, your hippocampus is actually busy replaying the events of your day, almost like a movie. And as it does that, it's shipping those memories off to the neocortex for more permanent, long-term storage. It's basically organizing the archives while you sleep. How cool is that?
So here's the real takeaway. The hippocampus, it's not just another part of the brain. It's the biological engine of your identity. By modeling how it works, we're not just looking at neurons and synapses. We are beginning to decode the very mechanisms that construct our personal history, the things that make us, well, us. Which, of course, leaves us with one last big question to chew on. If the architecture of our memories, the very foundation of who we are, can be modeled, what does that say about the nature of our own stories?